Hello students, today we're going to be taking notes on characterization, which is another way that the author tells us specifically about different types of characters and how they help add to the story that they're telling. And so, some expectations I want to review with you is that the video in Schoology should be all that is open on your computer. Secondly, that you do want to take your time to complete this assignment and task and the notes. So, meaning you can pause, rewind, and fast forward at any time during this video. And lastly is that when you see anything written in blue, and it will be underlined, you want to write that down. Secondly, today you're going to make sure you have your characterization notes to take, and these are double-sided notes, so you either have them from the material section, which means they're on paper, and those are over in the material section, or you have them from Schoology and you have opened the assignment and you're going to be typing in them. Either way, they are 2 pages of notes worth. It's really one and then a little bit more of a second page. So just do keep that in mind. It's more than just one full page. Secondly, you do need your writing utensil if you're writing them on the paper copy. And thirdly, you do need to have headphones because everybody is in a different place. So again, characterization, who is that guy? Because we just don't always know. How is this character going to help support the story? How do they, help make the story and things of that nature? So characterization, what is it? The meaning. It is the way a writer develops, so here it is in blue, so you're going to want to write that down into the blank that you have provided on your notes. The character in a story. And there are 2 specific types. There is direct characterization. Again, here it is in blue, so please make sure you write that down in your blank. And then there's indirect characterization, and that is the second type. Okay? And so, we're going to first talk about direct characterization, which this is when the writer directly tells the reader what a character is like. So, for example, Sherlock Holmes is clever and resourceful. I am telling you, as the writer, I'm telling you that Sherlock Holmes is clever and he is resourceful. And the second example would be Dracula is an evil vampire. Again, I'm telling you that Dracula is an evil vampire. So that is the author straightforward telling you in direct characterization specifically what the character is like. And then there's our picture of Dracula. Now, indirect characterization is a little different. And this is when the writer shows, okay? So here we have in blue, shows the reader what the character is like by describing, so using descriptive words, how the character acts and thinks. All right? And so a method that is commonly used is called the STEEL method. And the STEEL stands for, and this is what you want to make sure you have down, it's speech, thoughts, effects on others, actions, and looks. So basically, it's all of the nonverbal, like body language or thoughts and ways and things that the character says that helps you know, without it being directly said, what or who this character is, what this character is like. So like their attitude and the type of person they are, you get to know that simply based on the things that are revealed about them through their actions, through their thoughts, through how they act towards others, through how they look, through what they say. Okay? So this one is not as in your face. Sometimes you have to kind of dig at this one a little bit more. All right. And then there's the second point is the reader must infer about the character based on the clues that is provided by the writer. All right. And then there's our picture. All right. So characterization. How does a detailed characterization help make a story better? It seems to me that detailed characterization helps to make a story better because, so I want you to pause and go ahead and answer that question. And then we're going to go ahead and continue. So pause the video and continue when you are ready. So direct versus indirect characterization. Why do you think it might be harder to understand indirect characterization than direct characterization? So again, you're going to pause. And it seems to me that it might be harder to understand indirect characterization than direct characterization because, go ahead and pause the video, answer this question, and then continue on. So the first type of character we are going to discuss is the protagonist. So think of pro as in woo woo, yeah, we're all about it, pro. Protagonist is the main character. And an example would be Alice from Alice in Wonderland, Tarzan from the movie Tarzan, Cinderella from Cinderella. So those are all examples of a protagonist. So pro as in yes, pro, professional, yes, yes, pro, we're for it. All right, main character. The protagonist, who is the protagonist of your favorite book, movie, or story? Pause this video and go ahead and answer that question. And here is a prompt to help you. My favorite protagonist is the character blank from the movie or show blank. Number 5, antagonist. So antagonist or anti means against, right? So something against. So I think of how the antagonist must be against the protagonist. So this is a character that the protagonist, so the main character, struggles against. So sometimes this could be the bad guy, and some examples are Captain Hook from Peter Pan, the big bad wolf from the Three Little Pigs. So sometimes this is like your evil person, right? If you have the good guy and the bad guy, it's your bad guy. So an antagonist can be very easily seen. Sometimes it can be a little bit harder depending on the type of movie or show you're watching or book you're reading. So our question for your antagonist. Who is an antagonist who you greatly dislike? All right, so one antagonist who I greatly dislike is blank because blank. So for me personally, sometimes the antagonist who I greatly dislike is the person who I truly hate. Like I could go into the video and I could like hurt the person because they just make me so mad. But you know what? They're doing their job amazingly because I really, really don't like them. So that is a great antagonist. That's a great actor or actress who's doing an amazing job. Or even in a book, that person is being portrayed and written fantastically because I hate them. So that's exactly what you want an antagonist to be like, the person who you really don't like. So now we have subordinate characters. So subordinate means less than or not as equal to. So subordinate characters are characters who do not play major roles in a story. So they're just the minor characters. So the people who help the story, but they really don't make a huge difference. Okay. So some examples are the evil stepsisters from Cinderella and some of the backup characters you would see in movies. All right. So if they're there, great. If not, you wouldn't really miss them. They're the people you don't necessarily remember their names. Number 7, we need to think of characterization to remember motivation. What is motivating this main character to do what they're doing, or any of the characters to do what they're doing? So it's the reason why a character does something. An example would be in Cinderella, the prince's motivation for searching for the owner of the glass slipper is love. Okay? So there's a reason why every character does something within the story that they are telling. So a round character, okay, so the circular, round character, they are fully developed. Okay, they're fully developed characters, meaning that the author tells the reader a lot about the character. You know about their past, you know about their current time, you know about what they'd like to do in the future. They're fully developed, all right? And so, little magnifying glass on that character. Now, a flat character is kind of the opposite. Okay, a flat character is not developed, and you as a reader know very little about them. Like they're like a minor character. These characters are not developed. They're just kind of there. again, usually a minor character, and they just support the characters and the plot of the story. But again, they're not super important, so they're not given a ton of information. Okay, number 10 is a dynamic character. Dynamic would be a describing word, means to change and able to do many things. An example would be dynamic students can get good grades in many of their classes. It is good for teachers to be dynamic so that they can help their students with many subjects. A dynamic character is a character who changes during the course of the story. So maybe they are kind of the ugly duckling at the beginning of a story, and then at the end they become the beautiful swan. So that's a change over the course of the story, and I can think of a couple of different movies that would fit that, but we can talk about that in person. And the change involves learning a major lesson. Okay, so learning a major lesson, so a life lesson. So example would be Ebenezer Scrooge in A Christmas Carol. He learns to be more generous, right? The three ghosts come and visit him, and after that, he learns he needs to be more generous. All right, static. Static is just, that fuzzy black and white fuzz on the TV, static. Static is, again, a describing word, means not changing. Okay, if employees do not work hard, they remain static in their careers. If you are getting bad grades and you do not turn in makeup work, your scores will remain static. Those are two examples. A static character is one who does not change during the story. They stay exactly the same. Okay, so they don't learn a lesson, they just stay the same. Now, 14, dialogue. Okay, this is a term I'm sure you guys have heard before. It's the conversation that characters have among each other, back and forth. All right, and it's usually indicated by quotation marks. See these marks right here? Quotation marks. When there are quotation marks, that means this is what the person is saying. And there's our picture of dialogue. And that is the end of this video. So now you're ready to move on to your task and assignment for today and your mastery check.